Good
Well,
morning.
good morning. Hello, everyone. We had a bit of
Hello.
a late start because we had to set up two-factor authorization and we had to re-log in and yada, yada, yada.
And we had to set it up for good reason because we have officially hit our milestone on Twitch. So shout out to everybody on Twitch. Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you for helping us get there. Yes, yes. And then we also got into a little back and forth about Stephanie coming to the realization that birthing a human being is actually a deeply traumatic experience.
I would like to know coming to the realization as
Yeah.
my dear cousin slash best friend is currently expecting, and then one of my dear friends from law school just had her baby yesterday. I am very grateful now that social media, one of the few positives of social media is that it helps with community. And also, it has allowed people to have a much more honest view about the childbirthing process
Yes,
because it's not rainbow.
it is truly the just the period in which the child transforms from your reproductive system out of your very small coochie into the world. That experience in and of itself is a
Mhm.
deeply traumatic experience. It is physically and psychologically traumatic. And I was explaining to Stephanie that it not only is it traumatic in the moment, but like it's like what is it? It's a spiritual journey, and you come out on the other side. You smell funny. You're leaky. You
Yeah,
smell funny. The
I've seen
smell
that.
was very jarring. And your brain is just completely transformed. You went through. It's like you could say it's post traumatic stress, but it's just
Mhm.
childbirth, and then it takes you 2 years. It takes you about 2 years to process what the fuck you just did
Mm.
and to get out of the like it's not a brain fog, it is just a reworking of like your brain chemistry, your body chemistry, your yeah, like your emotional chemistry, like all the chemistries that make you who you are, for them to re-amalgamate and become feel whole again takes about 2 years. That is why when the girls get online and like I have a 4 week old and I'm pregnant again, I'm like, you are batshit fucking crazy. the
Yeah,
the the
no.
trauma on your physical body when I'll check in with you when you're 40. I want to know how your uterus is doing then. Has it prolapsed? But also the wear on so much of your being. But it's okay. I would do it again. I say all that to say that I understanding what it takes
Mhm.
now, I think I'm better positioned to do it again.
To accept that, and that's how my friend, this is her fourth, so they always wanted a big family, so that's how she was of the mindset of like, I survived it, I'll do it. I think based on all the information I have seen for myself, because I've sat with her through through labor once, and just seeing like my cousin's day to day change, and all of, she's also was like a NICU nurse before, so hearing it and seeing it again as an adult that's, contemplating family planning, is just like, oh, I think I'm on a maybe baby train. If it happens, wonderful. If it doesn't happen, also that's fine. My niece will
I
be very
I
cared
think
for.
we should be very realistic with people because I think, particularly in a lot of society, but as an American in American society, this idea that you should have kids for compulsory reasons, I'm like, no,
Also, the
no.
expense. The
It's a huge amount of labor. I don't think that
Yeah.
just two people can raise a child. I think children, in order to like raise a child well, you do need very robust community to do that. Um, yeah, people just be having kids because they believe that's what we're supposed to do, and then I'm like, you be fucking up whole human beings, and that's some nasty work. Like,
Yeah. Like
no.
you need parents, you need grandparents, God willing, hopefully they're there. You need aunties, uncles, siblings. I have six younger siblings, so I'm a big proponent of lots of siblings. It helps you have somebody else to vent to, even though being the oldest daughter comes with its own sack of problems. I wouldn't trade them for anything,
Yeah.
but part of me was like, oh, if I only do one and done, they're never gonna get the noise and all the love that I got to grow up with. And now seeing the cost alone, seeing like, oh wait, there was an interesting article that came out, and it was, I would say, from a more like white American perspective. But the article basically talked about the loss of cousins in America, because a lot of people now are realizing, like, okay, we can only pour all of our resources and then all of our time into one child, and that's the amount where we have the money for. So now you're having a lot of higher spike in only children, so people don't have cousins. And I was like, or they have less cousins than they used to have. And I was like, oh wow, life would be so sad without my cousin. So I was talking to my cousin about it,
I
because I was like,
know,
oh,
but Ronald Reagan fucked it up for all of us.
it's so
You know what I
expensive.
mean? People used to be able to get public assistance in like the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean? People, I don't know. Yeah,
It's
kids
so
are
expensive.
expensive. People are working a lot more. And then the comments
Yes.
about, do you get your brain back? You never get you do not be, the person that you were before you were had a child is gone. Like that is, you
Oof.
have to grieve your old self, which is why
Hmm.
I'm a big proponent of having children later in life, because when you've lived life, there's less to grieve. I think a lot of people grieve about the fact that like their life will no longer be the same and they cannot move the way they moved before. But I don't miss the way I moved before. I have a lot of great memories about like all the things I did.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, you get your brain, you could get your brain back to functioning at the peak level it was before, but it's not going to be the same brain.
Mm. And I think that that's something I feel like people don't talk about enough.
Mm.
That's newly on social media. Other people that are having children mentioning, like, yeah, I thought I would bounce back to my old self, and I have to accept that it's a new self. And I think that's why a lot of reasons why they are trying to push a federal abortion ban, unfortunately, is because now that we have so much access to information, people are rightfully questioning whether they need to compulsory have children. And that is not what, the powers that be want to see. They
And
want an indentured working
this
class.
is a great segue, right? Because you know what's fascinating about who's currently running our government is these are fathers of multiple
Mm.
children with multiple women. And that is something
Hmm.
you have to process. You will resent the other parent regardless of how they show up right after birth.
I
Because
can,
when it
yeah.
lands on you that, oh shit, and it's like, why did you have to do this? They could be doing all the things. So I wonder how much do Donald
Mm.
Trump's baby mamas and Elon Musk baby mamas truly resent that man, like, but put up with it because of the wealth and power options that come with their proximity to these men.
As much as Melania is clearly complacent, and she is has attached herself to this evil, awful person, she obviously resents that man. Grimes has said on and off basically that it would come off as if she is in a coerced, I don't, it's not a relationship, whatever that dynamic is, since Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. So obviously there's a huge power imbalance there. They've recently, interestingly enough, he has, according to some news reports, Elon Musk been trying to change his residency to Texas to essentially cap the amount of child support he has to pay her. And that has nothing to do with the money. He has the money. He's just an awful person.
Mm. I, for some reason, thought I subscribed to. Do I? I don't subscribe to New York Magazine. I subscribe to The New Yorker. I never can remember them, but I was saying that because
Oh.
our first article of today is from New York Magazine about Elon Musk. And it's actually an old article from last
Hmm.
year about why is Elon Musk dragging his 3-year old around the world.
Hmm.
And this was
And
the
this is
child.
X. Yep.
What is his
He's four
actual
now, but the
name?
article is still applicable. Yeah.
Because this past weekend the child was in the Oval Office.
Yes, he was. He he clearly doesn't, he's four, so he doesn't know anything that's going on. But it is fascinating that Elon Musk is not only dragging him around the world, but in the article they discuss how he dragged him to Turkey to have him attend basically state meetings. He's in the Oval Office basically at 4 years old attending state meetings, and Elon Musk kind of is using him as a prop of like, hey, I'm a family man, look, I'm it's bring my son to work day, etc. It's very strange because neither of them are actually, I would say, either publicly or privately, family people. They are not, neither of them would fit into the mold of what conservative family values, since both of them are multiple different, mother of their children. I don't know if Elon Musk has ever been married. Trump has been married, I think, 3 times. I think Melania's his third wife or his fourth wife.
And I think it's
Um,
very telling. Melania was one and done.
yeah, yeah, she wasn't about to play with him. She
I don't
wasn't
even think
about to
they
play
sleep in
with
the
him.
same bed.
I don't think she prefers to sleep in the same house as him. For what it's worth, I don't. And again, Melania's not a victim because she has decided, oh, the money is worth it to me.
The
And
power
she
of the
remember when she
money.
wore that fashion statement? It said, "I don't care," and
Yeah.
that was when. So like she doesn't care, but it is fascinating to see this idea of I don't even know if they're pretending to be present parents or if Elon Musk is like, I just like to bring around like my little mini me because the original article basically a few psychologists weighed in about the way that Elon Musk treats his 3-year-old, basically saying that Elon Musk uses the now 4-year-old as like an emotional support person of being like, yeah, I feel better when, he's here. So like, I just let him run around, etc. Which I'm sure is not taking into account what is actually best for a 4-year-old. They need structure.
Yeah, last April, according to X's mother, who is Grimes, watching his dad's Starship rocket explode had given X like a 3-day PTSD meltdown.
Because he's trying to process things that a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, less than 10-year-old cannot possibly understand.
And it's saying the custody dispute between X's parents, which began last year, has only seemed to heighten his visibility, even as Grimes claimed that she herself has been unable to see the boy. In September, the
Mhm.
day after Musk filed suit in a Texas family court in an apparent preemptive strike against Grimes, trying to adjudicate in friendlier California, Grimes tweeted at Eikenson to tell Elon to let me see my son or please respond to my lawyer. She soon deleted it, but it sounded like a genuine cry for help.
He's basically stolen her child. And if this was anyone else in
And
any
there's
other
no way
state,
he's raising
it's
that child.
kidnapping. No, he's using the
There's
child for
no,
photo ops
yeah.
and then a nanny.
Who is actually the person doing all the labor to take care of that child? This is crazy.
It's also extremely sad, particularly when his mother is actively trying to see him, get custody of him, because that creates a lot of psychological damage that will come up older of like, why did you let this megalomaniac run around and take me everywhere? Like, why didn't you fight for me? And the only way that her story is going to be documented is going to likely be he's going to win having this custody case in Texas, is going to be in the Texas court system. And Texas is not particularly very friendly towards women's rights.
Elon Musk was married because his
Who
first
was?
wife,
Oh,
Justine, they have twins, and one of the twins is transgender.
oh
Um,
yes.
so
The
I think
twin that has publicly tried to distance herself from him.
I believe he has close to like 10 children though. He's
I
quite
think so. Let's
philanderous.
double check.
Like these two men in the White House with multiple baby mamas and multiple children are trying to bring us back to like a Christian nationalist traditional family value. I'm so
According Flabbergasting. According to Newsweek, he has 12 children.
That's
Cheaper
crazy.
by the dozen.
That is
That's
a dozen.
aggressively
He
wild.
got a basketball team of kids.
There's no way that you, as a parent, unfortunately, have the bandwidth, no matter how much money you have, to know and deeply care and show interest in 12 little people.
Like we're not pulling this out of our
Poor
butts.
child.
This
I
is
hope at least the
crazy.
nanny's consistent, so at least the he can grow up with somebody he knows, the little kid.
All right, so his ex-wife Justine, they had
Mhm.
6 children. Girl,
Well, I'm. What are they saying on TikTok? We listen and we don't judge. I'm trying.
one passed away due to SIDS. Then there's the twins. Then oh, these are IVF. There's twins, then triplets. So that's the 6. They had 3 pregnancies, 6 children.
Oh wow.
Y'all are on some eugenics bullshit. Go ahead, go ahead.
The mom has openly, Elon Musk's mother has openly repeated like eugenics talking points multiple times. And back to, I think we talked about this on Monday about the techno fascists. Elon definitely falls in not only a white supremacist, which we saw his salute, the other day, but also would fall into like the techno fascist lane as well.
So the baby that we're currently seeing is X Ash A12. Here's his name.
Why would you name the poor baby this?
And then Exa Dark Side Rail Musk, known as Y via surrogate, and then Techno Machinist Tao was born in 2022. Okay, so that's
Okay.
9, and then okay, there's overlap. It's overlap. He had babies with while he was
Do we need a
having babies
Nick
with
Cannon tree?
Grimes. He was having babies with a Neuralink executive, Siobhan Zillis, a high-ranking
Oh,
executive who attended Trump's inauguration with Musk. Oh, and they have twins. All these are they're picking out the embryos. Twins.
probably. They have the money to do that.
Strider and Azur, who were born in 2021, and then they just had another child last year.
This is a recipe for dysfunction. And a couple of other things.
This is
Musk's vision
crazy.
for the future of his family. That's wild. I think we need to shame people who do not, care about the well-being of children and are just doing it's not even compulsory. He is I'm trying to say it so nicely. The same way people like to shame Nick Cannon with his family tree, Elon Musk needs a family tree too,
Yeah,
and so
the
does Trump.
way the way whiteness works to like subvert like the way that baby father only means like black, baby mother only means black. Like you're a whore, Elon Musk.
We just got our Twitch affiliate approval.
Ah, you're a philanderer, a rolling stone, and a whore.
A loose man.
How dare you try to like
A loose man.
put your image of America onto all of us.
And should be noted again, you don't even go here. That man is not from here. He is bringing South African apartheid reproduction of what is it, white flight, like the scarcity of whiteness that they're so afraid of, where they think that there's quote unquote white genocide, which that has never occurred, that is not occurring, that is not what's happening, but that is largely fueling why he feels that as a white man and the richest man in the world, and he views himself as somebody very smart, that he should have a gaggle of a dozen children.
And the representation of smartness is just an accumulation of wealth, not that like what is SpaceX doing?
Trying to steal government grants.
What is
Basically.
Twitter doing? You know what I mean? Like what is Tesla doing? And it's the way like Tesla like makes all this money. Like I haven't actually seen much discussion about their deal with what the Uber and Lyft and putting Uber and Lyft drivers into very predatory car loans by
That's why they're
giving
all
them
driving
Teslas.
Camrys.
Yeah.
Same make, same model.
There was a thing happening where everyone was driving Teslas, and it was because you could get a car through Uber, through a Uber Tesla partnership, and it was a very predatory car
Mhm.
loan, and the people were not making any money while trying to pay off this car, thinking they
I
could
was
do
wondering why there
luxury
was
driving.
a uptick,
It was a partnership between Uber and Tesla.
which don't buy Tesla. It's first of all not a good car. You shouldn't give Elon Musk money, but also importantly, there aren't enough charging stations. So a lot of people have rightfully been like, "Wait, it's costing me more money to drive to the charging station to try and do this, and now I'm here stuck with this car."
And especially don't get that god awful Cybertruck. Like please,
I saw
what
one for the first time when I
oh,
was home in
they're all
Miami.
over Charlotte. I hate it. I see them everywhere. And to your point, yeah, there used to be charging stations at both of the Whole Foods here. They got rid of them, and I'm like, I wonder where people with electric cars are going to charge their vehicles because I am seeing less charging stations as of late. But somebody is saying, why are some women choosing to have kids with Elon Musk anyway? I'm unsurprised that women are choosing to, especially if the man can pay for a surrogate. One of Grimes and his children was born via a surrogate. It's not clear how those children with the high ranking executive who's been parading around DC, since they have twins, I would, and they haven't really discussed much about it. The twins and the last child, I wouldn't be surprised if that was also a surrogate. But I'm unsurprised people would partner with Elon in that way, especially when the hypergamy movement and like a sheer seven gets so much legs. Like that is that not the prototypical way to do it?
And people always think they're the exception to the rule. They think, okay, if this person has children, it's four different women. Math is not my ministry. Four different women, like, okay, maybe we'll have one. I'll have all this money, and I'll go about my business, and he won't have time to bother with me. And what they are seeing is that is a very dangerous way to think. And then unfortunately, Grimes is realizing, oh wow, not only does he have time to bother with me, he has time to steal my child, who she has maybe now not seen in over a year. And that actually is the playbook for a lot of ultra wealthy men, how they are controlling their spouses when there's a power dynamic.
Mm.
Because he can afford the best lawyers. He can afford for a lawyer to tell him, hey, you know what? She wants to fight this in California court. California is a bit more equitable. Let's find the state that hates women. Okay, let's go to Texas. And it would be easy for him to prove residency because Tesla already, I know X moved their headquarters is technically in Texas now. In terms of like the legal documents, it was previously registered in Delaware. They've moved it to Texas. I think Tesla HQ is in Texas as well. So a Texas judge will be like, you're here 5 days a year? Ah, that's fine. Your companies are here. You can count as a Texas resident and we'll get the case moved.
Fuck Greg Abbott for like making Texas a haven for ain't shit ass men. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that
In
is
Texas,
crazy.
crazy. Texas is one of the few states where they have a cap on child support as well. I think we had said that earlier. I can't remember if I said it, but crazy.
Mm. Should we
Like kids
segue
still
in?
need things.
And
As we have discussed, kids are very
there's no
expensive.
income tax in Texas as well, I believe.
I
They
think you're
have
correct.
one. Well, you do get double. I don't know. I haven't done my taxes in Texas in a very long time. Let me not start talking like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, we can move on to the next topic, which got Elon Musk's face all over it again. Is that why we're so like fatigued?
It's their goal. Their goal is to fatigue everyone and be like, this picture, I will say, they do a good job of being like, we're gonna make all of you tired, but we'll throw in enough comical photos to be like, okay, let's recharge them. So they're like, laugh at how ridiculous this is, and then let's tire them out again. Because this picture, it's giving cartoon villains a villainous meeting. Like it just looks so unserious, and they're so
A
serious. Like,
puppet president, and it's like Pinocchio and Geppetto. Is that what's the guy's name? Geppetto. What was the guy who made Pinocchio's name?
it is. It's very much. I'm like, did y'all pose this out? Like, are you smart enough to pose this out, or is this candid?
Elon Musk is
I'm
just goofy in the
exhausted.
face looking in general, though. A very unattractive, like skeleton of a being, but it's the power, it's the money, you whore. Um, so
So what
the
is this
next
outfit? He has a t-shirt on under this suit,
in the White
this bad
House,
fitting suit jacket.
whatever. Judge removes key legal hurdle for Trump's plan to trim federal workforce with deferred resignations. Give us your.
All right. I want to say the first thing I found super surprising. So, a background, because I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago now. The background is because Elon Musk is running again, it has not been there's no legal definite answer as to whether or not Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, is actually a legitimate federal entity or federal department. There is no legal consensus on that. So I do think we have to always start with that and then not normalize Doge because based on my constitutional research as well, I don't think it is actually a legitimate government agency. We
Mm.
just don't have any enforcement power to say like, hey, get out of here currently, unfortunately. So with that, what Elon Musk did 2 weeks ago was he sent a very curt email from the new HR email from Doge stating, hey, if you want to resign as a federal employee, we are going to essentially give you garden leave. So you will stop working as of whatever the date in there was. I think it's sometime in February. And we will pay you until I believe it was almost September, October, maybe. And you know what? Everything will be fine. All you have to do is email back resign. Now, that happens in a lot of corporate companies, particularly when private equity takes over. That's how they essentially push forward mass layoffs. So they will give you the garden leave. This email didn't come with any attachment of any contract. It didn't come with anything. It basically said, just email me back and say one word, resign. From a legal perspective, not this is not legal advice, just my opinion. That's nonsensical, because why would you basically resign and you have not signed any document to give you any assurances? You don't know whether this department even has any money, because it's not a real department. Where's this money going to come from when they're supposed to be cutting costs and we apparently don't have any money? There was nothing there that said, yeah, most likely we're not screwing you. I was really surprised because this article goes into the fact that 75,000 federal employees did respond back and said resign, likely out of fear that they were going to lose their jobs with nothing. Fascinatingly enough, the judge originally halted this and said, hey, I need to look through the motion documents. I'm not sure. And now a judge has come down and said, okay, we can move forward with this. You, Doge, can move forward with this plan. And this is extremely dangerous, because without these civil servants who largely have institutional knowledge and they exist in their roles regardless of who's in power, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, how will any of these departments actually run? Which Trump wants to put in basically political appointees. These political appointees don't necessarily have any experience, as we've seen like with his secretarial picks. So a lot of departments that we're used to likely will cease to run, and that is their goal.
Yeah, and here's the part about 75,000 federal workers accepted the offer to quit in return for being paid until September 30th, according to McLaurin Pinover, a spokesperson for the Office of Personnel Management. So the U.S. District Judge George O'Toole Jr., who was nominated by former President Bill Clinton, found that unions weren't directly affected, so they don't have legal standing to challenge the program commonly described as a buyout.
Which I think that ruling is factually incorrect, because if you look above, the union continues to maintain that it's illegal to force American citizens to make a decision in a few short days without adequate information about whether to uproot their families and leave their careers for what amounts to an unfounded IOU from Elon Musk. So the union, in my opinion, would definitely have a stake, because the whole purpose of the union is to represent the employees. So how are the employees all going to call 75,000 people? And those are just the ones that pressed resign. So there's way more. I don't know the exact number, so let me not lie. There are a lot more government employees affected by this than those that just decided like, okay, I guess we'll try with the resign. There's no way all of those people were able to have a conversation with their union rep in such a fast amount of time. The union rep office is not that large for each department.
It's crazy.
Also, in this economy,
I was talking to my friend who is in the union for federal workers, and she's like, they're currently not in the office because they're like standing out or something. Which is like at this point, the unions don't have any power.
wow.
Wow.
If you need important documents, I would do it now, sooner than later. Because if you wait till later, there might not be anybody in that office to process that documents. Renew
And
your
now,
passport.
oh man, my
Sorry.
passports don't expire for another 2 years.
Oh, you have time. Mine expired this year, so I sent in the renewal in January, and it's allegedly, fingers crossed, USPS should arrive today. So I'm hoping.
Well, in other news, we're inching day by day closer to Eric Adams becoming a Republican. New York City.
All my life, I've had to fight. Like, why?
I want to watch a documentary on like how did we get to Eric Adams? Like, what was
Same.
the confluence of just weird things that led us to Eric Adams being the most viable candidate to be mayor of New York City? I'm sorry to my peoples, but the Trump Department of Justice orders prosecutors to drop corruption charges against Eric Adams.
The thing is, when he went to Mar-a-Lago, Eric Adams paid Trump a visit right before the inauguration. Everyone in New York was like, that man is begging for a pardon. But hopefully, maybe a miracle happened and he won't get it. And I don't know why I was hopeful that he wouldn't get it. Of course, the other literal convicted felon would give the alleged felon, Oh, the interesting thing about this is before Eric Adams was the mayor, he is the second black mayor ever in the city of New York. The first black mayor of New York was Mayor David Dinkins, who went to Brooklyn Law School. So he was much more of a Democrat than Eric Adams, who's only ever been a Democrat in name. And the fact that he is skirting all responsibility, particularly coupled with his ego and his penchant for press conferences, where he compares himself to Job, it doesn't bode well for anyone.
In a memo sent to prosecutors Monday evening, the Justice Department's acting number 2 official, Emil Bove, ordered the government to restore Mr. Adams' security clearance and accused a former Manhattan federal prosecutor who charged Mr. Adams of having done so for political reasons, though he offered no evidence. Mr. Bove wrote that the department wanted to drop the charges because the case has been inappropriately timed, an unusual reason to seek dismissal, and not because of questions about the merits of the case or about the mayor's guilt or innocence. Mr. Bove, a former prosecutor in the same office that is prosecuting the mayor, said that there was to be no further targeting of Mayor Adams or additional investigative steps until after the November mayoral election, where the case would be reevaluated.
So after he can potentially cause harm. And also to answer your question, the when Eric Adams won, it was the first time in New York that we've had ranked choice voting,
Mm.
which a lot of constituents in New York, it was never properly explained. Like there was never any like public PSA, this is how ranked choice voting works. And that likely played into a lot of the issue. But also in New York, while the mayoral election in New York City, while the mayoral election is in November, the real election is really the Democratic primary in June. So even as long as you're left of Republican, everyone runs in the Democratic primary. So we have a Communist Party, we have Democratic Socialist Party, we have Working Families Party. They all run in the June primary. So unless, somebody comes out as a front runner before June, there's also, unfortunately, a large constituent of older black people that believe in like the old version of we need to be tough on crime. And they love his former, I was the
Boomers.
NYPD.
Boomers.
I'll be wanting to hug them and shake them a little bit.
Boomers.
Like, no, we cannot do this anymore. Which is why he's always complaining and doing his press conferences at black churches. He loves to be down in Flatbush, in Brooklyn, which is ironic because one of his good friends is that thieving bishop who is convicted.
Yeah, I just think for boomers to have such bad politics, y'all really about to screw us over too.
Mm-hmm.
Cause y'all
And
all
screw
aging at the
themselves.
same time. Where y'all social services at? Where's Medicare gonna be at for you?
Thank you. Also, LOL to Alana's comment. Where did it go? Well, it's very funny. Um, I hate that man. He thinks he is playing chess when he is playing shoots and ladders. Him being nonsensical and silly in the mind, I think adds insult to injury. Because he really thinks he's the smartest person in the room, and you're just there like watching him like, not only are you nonsensical, you are harmful with your nonsense.
You had a draw. You had a luck of the draw. Let me get the saying right.
Exactly. Like Joe, when Joe had a little too much drip on his chip and thought that people really loved him. And I was like, Joe, it was you or the orange
I
man.
could actually see the progression of Joe Biden making it to the president's office. Like there was a deep commitment to making it there, and that man did whatever he had to do to make it to the White House. Eric Adams was just like, where the fuck he come from?
The donors picked him.
And he
The
wasn't even
donors
really
love a
living in
useful
Brook. Like
idiot.
where he was he living in New York City or something? Like the whole.
No, that is a Jersey man. There's a whole investigative report on his alleged Brooklyn apartment, and in the report they're like, I don't think anyone lives here. Also, I have friends that know his kids, and they're like, he don't live there.
I'm sorry, New York City.
That's all you have for us.
It's all
Thoughts and
I can
prayers.
give
You're
you.
getting
I
thoughts and
don't live
prayers,
there anymore. I was literally at the bar last night talking about, I miss the community, but I don't miss the city.
girl.
I was
We're
gonna put on
we're
my 40th birthday list that somebody could buy me a flight to New York because my friends always like, "When are you coming back?" And I'm like, "Guys, for
come
what?
visit.
What are you bringing
Come visit
Stokely?" I'm
before
like, "I'm
June.
bringing a toddler to New York. What?
Oh yeah.
That
I don't know
sounds."
if I don't know if Stoke would
We're
love
at
it.
the age where it's like travel, and I do bring my kid everywhere with me, but like sometimes
He can come hang out with us at brunch.
he will destroy the entire table.
It'll be fun. We'll bounce him around.
And I have like a upper baby stroller in Charlotte. That stroller is like too big to bring in the restaurants. I know in New York City, I am not getting that behemoth of a stroller because that's like I can strap him in real good,
Mm.
and this way he can't like whoosh the table.
They're
Yeah,
surprisingly very strong
he's at that
toddlers.
stage where he just like seeing things
Mm.
tumble down, and so I'm just like ah. But I have to socialize him. I don't have an iPad kid, so
Which is good. Which is
he
good. It's
does like
hard.
Miss Rachel though. So if he sees somebody else, he hears somebody else playing it. It's like ooh, let me get a piece of that. But I don't have an iPad for him.
Listen.
Toddlers thrive in the
Listen.
playgrounds. In the city, we have playgrounds. And you have norovirus and RSV and hand and foot disease. And,
It might be good for his immunity in the long run, but in the short
I
run, it
took him
might
to the
be better.
playground like 2 days ago. And I was just like, this is nerve wracking because are you going to come home sick?
True. Right.
The way you're just like face palming the gravel. I'm just like, bruh.
My brother was like that. Poor Jeffrey. He was in daycare from the time he was like 3 months. My poor young parents. They were like, "Child, we got to go to work," and he was sickly. But now, as like
Mm.
an adult at 30, he's never sick. Hi, brother. He's always like, "When you're on live stream, you have to let me know. Can I come talk?" And I'm like, "Why?" So
I
there we
don't
go.
think my kid yet has the immune system for New York City. We got to give it like 2 more years, and then I'll bring him up. I just fear like he's gonna lick the handbar on the subway, and it might be tuberculosis. You never know.
I saw a
Yellow
kid do
fever.
that
It's
once.
gonna be something crazy, and I'm just like, no, I can't bring my kid to New York right now. It's not happening. It's
Kids on
not
the subway is like
happening.
my favorite thing. They're very funny on the train. They refuse to hold on. I like when like the little kindergartners have their field trip and they're just moving around.
Yeah,
It's
kids
very
kids
funny.
that are in like
The
that
poor teachers.
discovery stage where like things go to their mouth first before they play with it, and the impetus to just do weird things. I'm just always like
Kids have a lot of intrusive thoughts that they act on. I'm like,
ah
oh, that's what we're doing. Okay.
how will that make you sick is always my biggest fear. Because then I'm for whatever reason I am the parent that always gets sick with my kid.
Oh.
Maybe because I'm in his face a lot, like, but
And he's in
like,
your face, yeah.
I
He's
can't
like, whatever I
resist.
got in the dirt, now you have.
But now I realize that he loves my Stanley, so anytime I have this, he's like trying to drink out of it. And that water bottle you have, I gave him mine because I was like, we're past the point of being able to share straws,
Mm.
baby.
You're setting boundaries or
No,
trying.
yeah, I'm trying, but it's hard because he's just like straight yanking the shit out of my mouth and like give it to me, and I'm like, take your damn bottle, please.
Oh.
How did you find out you had tuberculosis? I'm wondering, like, what tests do we even
Oh,
do?
wow.
I feel like
What
when
are
I
the
went to
symptoms?
Ghana, I got well, when I went to Togo more specifically, I got a
Mm.
tuberculosis vaccine, but that was 10 years ago. So, do I need to re up?
Mm. Oof. And maybe we have to do that before they dismember. Oh God, that was graphic. Before they I didn't mean to say that. Before they get rid of the Department of Health. Is that what RFK is in charge of?
Mm,
Which department is he? Something with health.
mm.
Because he's against any type of modern health. Health secretary, yep.
And there's something happening now with JD Vance. He has like a distant cousin. This family likes to adopt children, or I mean, for like white nationalists, they do have a lot of children of color in their family.
That's not
JD,
necessarily positive.
it's not very, very like what was it called? Not directly Mormons, but like the Joseph generation or something. They have a term for it for what their mission towards populating the earth and adopting all these children, but imbuing them with like this conservative politic and then getting them into office. It was in the that documentary about what are people saying, dismantle, disband?
Oh, because I said dismember. Thank you. Yes,
Oh.
dismantle. That's what I. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, HBO.
Okay,
I was like, I
Dexter.
didn't mean to say dismember.
Oh man, but JD, all these ads. Oh my gosh. Okay, Daily Mail, get your bread, bruh. JD Vance's 12-year-old relative denied a heart transplant because she's not
Oh, wow.
vaccinated against COVID and flu.
Interesting.
Why would you want to get she's being yeah, you have to have all your vaccinations up to date. Like there's a lot of really tough requirements for organ transplant, especially a heart.
Yeah. Yeah, because also, yes, they try to keep the hospitals as clean as possible, but again, this is an entire building where people have varying levels of infection and disease. That's why they're in the hospital. So, stepping into a hospital when you don't have all of those things is not necessarily a good idea. And
But
so, even though
why
the surgery room will be um, sterile, but I think that's part of the reason why you need all of your vaccinations.
yeah, but like also, why are they making it about COVID and the flu when Adeline has not had any vaccinations as a conflict with her family's religious beliefs? Why would you want like the risk and the complications of a major organ transplant from the same doctors, the same science, but not do any vaccines? And why are these headlines about COVID and flu? If she hasn't had any vaccines, she's not going to qualify.
Exactly. And she also, if you can refuse to vaccinate your child, but then you in certain states you can't send them to public school because then you mess up herd immunity. Um, that's very unfortunate for these children, particularly these children that are being adopted from various places. In my opinion, transracial adoption, 8 times out of 10, is nefarious, unfortunately. Statistically, that's what it's showing, that it is nefarious. So she has no control over the fact that she was adopted from an ultra conservative, clearly not science loving family that has withheld vaccination from her.
Janine, who was related to marriage by to JD Vance's half siblings. Oh, y'all are like, why is JD Vance even being brought up in this? We'll take it as we can
Paperclip.
if it happens, but I know I cannot put this vaccine in her body, knowing what we know and how we feel about it. You're gonna get an organ from someone else, put that organ in your child, and then have a whole you're gonna have like 30 pills a day. You're gonna be on an
Mhm.
IV drip because of the amount of medication that you have to take that is doing the same thing that these vaccines do.
To keep you alive. And then Simone brought up a really good point. I think you also get put on immunosuppressant drugs to reduce risk of organ rejection. With my dad, since he's on the kidney transfer list, one of the things we had to agree to get him onto the list was okay, who's his his direct health care provider in the house, and then whoever that person is, you are also not allowed to leave the house, because if I go outside and I catch something, then because he will at that point will be on immunosuppressants, you can very much endanger the person. So not only are they not going to give her the heart transplant because she doesn't have any immunity to anything, because she doesn't have vaccinations most likely, or she has little immunity most likely, most of her family also probably doesn't qualify to be around her because they are not going to take the proper precautions.
Like, yeah, and so along with COVID, transplant patients must receive vaccines for measles, mumps,
Mm-hmm.
rubella, and other diseases like hepatitis B. That just makes logical sense that if you're going to get a heart transplant, and that everyone, as you're saying, everyone who comes in contact with you should also be vaccinated because your body literally rejects outside. It's like a big push to get your
Mm-hmm.
body to accept an outside organ,
Yeah.
and
And they don't
this
want
is
to.
crazy.
Yeah. And also the doctors are very strict on, they want to make sure it's successful, because obviously the heart transplant list is very long. Like for you to even qualify, if the body rejects it as the patient, they can't just then save the heart and be like, okay, we'll just try it with Stephanie. It's a loss all around for like multiple people, which again is extremely sad because she can't control who adopted her.
Look
And
at
I,
this.
in these certain instances, I wish there were avenues for the courts to step in for these kids. In New York, we have guardian ad litem, where basically, if you don't have a guardian, they have a lot of. You can do it as a lawyer, you can do it as a law student, where you can volunteer and like you essentially get assigned to be like a quasi legal guardian for children that don't have a legal guardian, so that way you can advocate for them. But I think in these instances, the court should also step in and advocate for her, because all they have to do is vaccinate her, wait the certain amount of time, and then get her back on the list. And it's not immediate. So it's, if you miss your one transplant opportunity, they don't then just say, okay, come in tomorrow. The organ is gone. The organ went to the next person on the list. So now you have to wait again. It's very unfortunate.
This is
And
crazy.
again,
They have
who is watching
12
all these children?
children, 8 of which are adopted. And it's like, how many of these children did you just outright purchase? Okay. Okay.
Lord.
This is what we're getting here.
Yes. It's also interesting because the Daily Mail is a tabloid newspaper, to your point, how they highlighted like flu and COVID specifically, as if having a COVID or flu vaccine is extremely negative. When A, it's not, should get one. But
But
also,
you're getting
since
a
when are we
transplant.
demonizing,
Like,
yeah,
just
when are
get
we
the vaccine.
demonizing the flu vaccine? That's new. So I'm like, so it's been around for so long.
Okay, let's close. We're gonna close out on our last news story. Maybe this will provide
This
the
is the hopeful one.
levity. Yes,
There we
the Super
go.
Bowl halftime show with the protester who interrupted. I don't think he interrupted. We didn't even get to see it on the screen. But
I didn't see it.
Zul Kornanen Nantambu. That's a lot of syllables. A New
Thought
Orleans
about it.
based artist and performer who was on the field took the chance to make a stand. And I thought it was a very bold and right choice to make.
Me too. And shout out to him.
So The Intercept has an article where they interviewed him. They actually named him. They linked to his Instagram, Corporate America 83. If you want to check it out, he is an activist and an artist in New Orleans.
I think he
And
has another Instagram too. Because the page I saw looked a little different than that. He had like 90,000
yeah,
followers.
this looks old,
I
but
think they linked to the wrong one, to be honest.
maybe. Let's see.
Oop, now we've seen all your history. Sorry,
Ah.
girl. Cover it up.
There ain't nothing on there. I don't search. I don't really search nothing from my main other than businesses. I have. That's what I have a Finsta for. Um,
Ooh, come on, Finsta.
Zol.
What does Finsta stand for? Fake Insta?
Yes.
I have
I
my
think
original
here he
Instagram
goes.
personal
They
account.
did link to the wrong one. I
Here
was
we
like
go.
wondering,
This is his account.
but here he goes. The man in the red.
Yes.
Okay, well, shout out to him for taking a stand. Too bad the cameras were cut. But there were 400 hired dancers. You know they were paid $12 an hour?
Which would lead me to what is the minimum wage in Louisiana, because the Super Bowl took place in New Orleans, and I'm pretty sure it's close to the original federal minimum wage, which is like around $7,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. So their
Mm-hmm.
pushback would be like, we paid them more than minimum wage, and that's objectively not enough money. Let me look up Louisiana minimum wage.
I'd be unsurprised. But shout out to him for making a very bold move. And I really do wish that, like, we've talked before, Kendrick and his political theater.
7.25. That's the minimum wage in the state of Louisiana.
Craziness.
Not enough to live on.
2025. That is absolutely crazy. Um, I wish that like the public support from Kendrick, from Rock Nation, from these outfits that participate in using Black revolutionary imagery to line their pockets would just take the simple stand of saying, we support you, thank you for the bold move, we support you.
I wish that, well, I hope, since he was arrested, that Kendrick is paying his legal fees,
He
because
was arrested, but like it says in the article, he was arrested but let go
like,
without any charges. They just
oh, good,
tackled him off the field, and like I think security got a hold of him, but I don't. He hasn't been contacted by the police since.
good. I know New Orleans Police Department put out a statement saying they were going to see what violations he conducted. I'm like, It's a protest. We have First Amendment rights, at least
Like
today, still.
done in a great way. You know what I mean? It was.
Hmm.
I thought it was relatively effective. Ain't Kendrick a
I think so.
Hotep? I mean, this man look Hotep adjacent. So why wouldn't Kendrick stand up for his people, niggas? Why wouldn't he?
Oh,
Hmm.
does it make money to stand up for his people?
Well, and Kendrick can't say he didn't see it. These people be very online. Artists love to be like, "Oh,
I
I didn't
enjoyed the
know."
performance before people take it out of context. I did.
We
However,
did. We
the
talked
political
about it in
theater
our
of it
last
all,
video
who
that
did?
the NFL took down, and we had to fight to get back up
And it's back up now.
in full.
Hmm. Never take the no.
Well, you can like things and still critique it.
Exactly. And I want more of the internet. I feel like our corner of the internet is very much accepting of that. I need the broader internet to understand that. You could like something and still be like, I have questions.
Mhm.
Is this doing what, they're proclaiming it's doing? Was
Mhm.
I entertained thoroughly? Did I feel like freedom found me immediately after? No. That's okay.
The revolution will not be televised. We could talk about Gil Scott Heron's poem. All
Poor
right, but
poem.
we're going to close out here today. Thank y'all for joining us for our live stream. We'll see you back on Monday. Hopefully,
Yes.
this weekend, not too much happens, not too much craziness.
It's Valentine's tomorrow, so I think because
It
it is a forced
is.
holiday, they are gonna push through more foolishness.
Are you going out
They love a
tomorrow?
little.
I was trying to like all this valid. I totally forgot.
I we're not. It's cold, so we're supposed to do cake tasting. I love food. That's what you're supposed to do tomorrow, and you're supposed to be able now. The bakers have gotten very high tech, and I'm like, I love that. Now they just deliver it to you, or you pick it up, and you can do the tasting in your house, which is nice.
Oh, so cool.
Okay.
I
Which
might
I'm
go
like,
to a
that's fun.
show
So that's our
Saturday.
plan.
I'm debating if I want to take the toddler or not.
What's the weather like in North Carolina?
It's cold. It's very cold right now. It's like 30 degrees outside. It's so cold.
Oh, it's real
Winter has
winter down there.
winter has not lasted this long before. This is a very long, like usually it's pretty mild around this time of year, but
Yeah,
I still got my winter coat out. It's hurting my feelings deeply.
that's how I feel. There was snow on the ground
Oh,
yesterday
no snow,
again.
no snow. No. Please, 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 no snow.
I'm part of me is like good because before this year it hadn't really snowed in Brooklyn in like 3 years. I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, maybe climate change, maybe we're, moving in a better direction, but we aren't statistically. We all should be very alarmed. But anyways, sorry to leave you on that. Deregulation is really going to impact the climate.
Oh, and concert tickets. I bought Beyonce tickets yesterday, and I'm still like, ugh, girl, the fuck?
How much did Ticketmaster slap you for?
$138.
Oh,
We're in the
that's much more
nosebleeds.
reasonable.
Yeah, it's reasonable. But we're going to. I'm going to Atlanta. It's at the top. I'm like, maybe I can
Oh,
get better tickets later. I don't know. It's very weird. It's very weird, but
you know
it's
how it
like
is.
the way corporations are just going to be moving crazy. And we didn't talk about the consumer finance. We could talk about that on Monday.
Oh yes, the
CFPB.
CFPB. Yeah,
The fact
I
that
thought
that
we were
wasn't
forgetting.
even a top headline anywhere, it was just like like we're in for it. We're in for it.
We're Prepare yourself.
All right.
Prepare your wallet. Open the high yield savings account.
See y'all on Monday. We'll try to be better at getting up on at 9:30. And thank y'all for joining us. And if you made it this far, please subscribe.
Please.
Stupid.